Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's public hearing. Before we get started, please turn off your cell phones or any other electronic devices to avoid any interruptions. If anyone present is planning on presenting testimony, please sign up at the sheet in the back of the hearing room. Anyone who wants an opportunity to speak tonight will have the time to do so. Please sign up at the podium when it's your turn. Please step up to the podium when it's your turn and make sure you clearly identify yourself for the record before you begin your testimony. We request that you please keep your testimony focused on the relevant issues and facts for each application. Please remember these hearings are to allow for members of the public to speak on issues related to land use applications, not to air grievances about each other or your neighbors. We will not tolerate or allow testimony that is hateful in nature and will stop your testimony if it delves into a statement on other people's character. Today is Wednesday, the 27th day of May. Time is 6 o'clock, the time set for the public hearing. All three commissioners are present. Mr. Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
No changes to the agenda. Okay. We don't have any unfinished business. This is a new application, so for each, I'll open the public hearing on application 2025-02138 ZCPD SPR MSP, and 20221-2011-15 DADM, Brecken Land Design. Okay, first we'll have our staff, Brent Danielson will give us a report, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Brent.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, project number 2025-02138 ZCPUD-S-SPR-MSP-MSPB and 2012-01115 DA-DM is an application to modify the Winners Run subdivision. The property is located in southwest Boise at the intersection of Westlake Hazel Road and South Maple Grove Road. The property consists of approximately 17.63 acres in the R6 district and the Community Commercial C2 district and is located at the northwest corner of Westlake Hazel Road and South Maple Grove Road. So the subject property is a part of the Winners Run development. The Winners Run development was approved initially back in 2003. The subdivision later expired during the Great Recession. A new application was submitted and later approved in 2013 to finish the Winners Run development. The development has been approved for single-family homes and a commercial area abutting Westlake Hazel Road and South Maple Grove Road. The applicant desires to modify the existing preliminary plat and for the remaining phases of Winners Run to be developed under a new preliminary plat. The project will consist of single-family residential uses and commercial uses. The applicant had initially proposed for the single-family residential product type to be townhomes. With the new concept plan, the proposed development will also include detached single-family dwellings as well. The applicant has proposed to rezone approximately 8.41 acres as currently zoned medium-density residential R6 and community commercial C2 to the high-density residential R12 district. As shown on the slide, only a small strip of the property that is zoned C2 is proposed to be rezoned to R12. Most of the commercially zoned land will remain commercially zoned. The property is located in Boise's impact area. Therefore, the applicable comprehensive plan is the Boise City Comprehensive Plan as adopted by Ada County. The future land use map designates the site as mixed use, which is intended to include a variety of commercial, office, and high-density residential development. The future land use map also identifies the property as being within a neighborhood activity center, which are characterized by small-scale retail and service uses that may include mixed use or attached housing opportunities, as well as by compact scale and pedestrian-friendly design that encourages pedestrian access across adjacent neighborhoods. As such, the proposed mix of commercial and residential with the proposed rezone to R12 district allows for densities up to 12 units per acre, and is compatible with the adopted comprehensive plan. In addition, there are existing higher density projects nearby that include apartments and condominiums, and the nearby higher density projects are the ones in the areas that are zoned R12. So right here across from Lake Hazel over to the west of the proposed site. The applicant is also seeking, the applicant had initially requested a preliminary plat for 54 residential lots, 24 commercial lots, and 12 common lots. However, to address concerns raised by the neighbors and ACHD, the applicant has a new concept plan that reduces the number of residential lots to 50. The residential lots are located towards the northern portion of the property adjacent to existing residential properties, and the commercial lots are located along the West Lake Hazel Road and South Maple Grove Road frontages of the property. The applicant is also seeking for the project to be a planned unit development. The Dade County Code states that the purpose of the planned unit development is to allow flexibility in site design and dimensional standards to develop residential, commercial, and/or industrial uses not allowed individually within specific zoning districts, allowing for innovation in site design. With the PUD, the applicant is proposing for the R12 lots to have a minimum roadway frontage of 34 feet instead of 45 feet, and for a minimum property size of 2,975 square feet instead of 3,500 square feet. The PUD will also allow for some of the residential lots to take access from shared driveways. The northern portion of the site will consist of single-family residential and will provide a transition from the detached single-family dwellings north of the site to the proposed commercial lots along West Lake Hazel and South Maple Grove Road. It should be noted that there are other nearby planned unit developments which have received special provisions, such as Hazelwood Village and the Charlesworth subdivision, which are located approximately a mile away at the intersection of Lake Hazel and 5 Mile Roads. It is not uncommon to see other developments in the area that have a variety of housing types. For example, Hazelwood Village has integrated attached single-family dwellings, townhomes, and detached single-family dwellings within their development as shown on the slide. A master site plan for a veterinary clinic has also been submitted with the project. The building shell is about 8,432 square feet, with approximately 4,432 square feet of the total building interior being built out. The veterinary clinic will offer typical veterinary services, including neuter and spay operations, regular checkups, and emergency services for household pets. The project has received several comments from neighbors and the public. Most of the comments have been in opposition to the project. The primary opposition to the project is the rezone to the R12 district and developing townhomes on the R12 portion of the site. Residents within the Renters Run development have stated that recreational amenities within the development, such as the swimming pool, are already at capacity during peak seasons, and adding more households will overrun the existing development's amenities. They also feel that the new townhomes will lower their property values and are not in character with their neighborhood. Several individuals also commented that Southwest Boise is lacking commercial businesses, and they believe all the land in Renters Run that is zoned commercial should remain zoned commercial. Some people also believe that the townhomes will lead to an increase in crime. There are also concerns regarding additional traffic that will be generated by the development, and that there is no mass transit to serve higher density development. During the testimony at the Planning and Zoning Commission's public hearing, it appears to staff that many of the neighbors do not want the proposed development to resemble an existing multifamily development south of the site near the intersection of South Maple Grove Road and West Brogan Drive. One of the concerns brought up about this older development is its lack of parking. When the Brogan Drive development was approved, the zoning ordinance at that time only required one off-street parking space per dwelling unit, which was not enough parking for this development. The Dade County zoning ordinance was updated in 2010 due to what was happening on Bergen Drive to increase the amount of parking required for residential uses. The Dade County zoning ordinance now requires single-family residences to have at least 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling unit. There was also a comment at the public hearing regarding school capacity. The project is located within the West Dade School District and is currently in the Silver Sage Elementary, Lake Hazel Middle School, and Mountain View High School attendance areas. According to the school district's data dashboard, school district enrollment peaked in the 2019-2020 school year and has started to gradually decline since then. Student enrollment is highest in the high school grades and gradually drops off for the intermediate and middle school grades and significantly drops off for the primary grades. Mountain View High School has showed a significant increase in enrollment, and this past school year, the enrollment has started to plateau. At Lake Hazel Middle School, the school enrollment has started to decline the past few years. At Silver Sage Elementary School has also shown a decline in their student enrollment the past few years. Those in favor of the application say that the lack of affordable housing in Ada County affects business owners' ability to attract and retain qualified employees, and businesses have lost employees because they're priced out of Ada County, and many of their employees must commute from neighboring counties. Higher density housing is essential to allow people to live closer to where they work, and adding more commercial development without expanding affordable housing options will only worsen the employee shortage. They feel that housing is a greater priority than additional retail. Several agencies have provided comments on the application. Key agency comments include the following. The Boise Public Works Department responded that all development must follow the 2026 Boise City Sewer Extension Policy. The Boise Fire Department, on behalf of the Whitney Fire District, replied that they can approve the application subject to compliance with their code requirements. The Boise City Planning and Development Services Department responded that the area has a general mixed-use land use designation, and the intersection of Lake Hazel and Maple Grove is identified as a neighborhood activities center. They want the applicant to install a 12-foot wide concrete path along the 8 Mile Creek lateral. They also mentioned that the commercial parcels adjacent to Lake Hazel and Maple Grove Road should include buildings that are located adjacent to the streets with parking and other site components located to the side and rear of the buildings to create an interaction with the street and buildings. The Ada County Highway District stated that the development is estimated to generate 5,256 vehicle trips per day, with 306 vehicle trips per hour in the P and peak hour. Also, area roads will meet ACHD's level of service planning thresholds in the future with planned improvements. In addition, they provide several site-specific conditions of approval. A few of these conditions will require some modification to the proposed preliminary plat. For instance, Moonlight Snow Avenue is not approved to intersect Lake Hazel Road. The nickel on the alley and the 6 perpendicular parking stalls off the alley are not approved. And Blizzard Alley will need to be constructed to intersect Tundra Street in the area identified as Lot 13. As conditioned, the applicant will need to revise the plat to address the Ada County Highway District's requirements. Other key conditions of approval include the fire department approving all fire flow requirements and the private road turnarounds. The applicant has submitted a new concept plan to address ACHD's concerns as well as concerns from the neighbors. They are still working with ACHD to get a second access point on Lake Hazel Road approved. The applicant has made a concession to address neighbor concerns. The new concept plan reduces the number of residential lots from 54 to 50. That also includes having detached single-family dwellings rather than just having townhomes. The lots adjacent to existing residences in Wares Run are wider at 50 feet, and it is my understanding that those lots will be single-story. And the applicant has agreed to make the 34 lots, wide lots, a detached product type, and those residences will need to be 2-story in height in order to have adequate internal square footage. The applicant has also agreed to add additional amenities to the development, such as adding a dog park to the west side of the development, a seating area near the pathway coming out of Runner's Run on the east side, a pollinator garden on the west side of the 34-foot wide lots, and a covered picnic area on the east side of the 34-foot wide lots. The Ada County Planning and Zoning Commission voted at their March 12, 2026 public hearing 3-2 to recommend denial of the application to the board. Staff finds that the application complies with the Ada County Code and the Boise Comprehensive Plan is adopted by Ada County and recommends approval to the board, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions from the board? Okay,
Sure.
go ahead.
You want to summarize the planning and zoning hearing and how some of those arguments broke down?
Sure. So basically with the Planning and Zoning Commission, kind of the reasons why they recommended denial is they thought that the rezone to the R12 district and the development of townhomes went against the reasonable expectation that the neighboring property owners had of the land being developed. And they were also concerned that the existing roadways in the area are already congested and that additional density allowed with the R12 zone would further exacerbate traffic congestion in the area. And then they also thought that the addition of townhomes to the site would be a nuisance to people and property in the vicinity as the increase in density associated with this development would overwhelm the recreational amenities in Mariners Run, and that the residents of Mariners Run had stated that the community swimming pool is already at capacity during peak seasons, and that the proposed development did not provide enough active open space for new residents in the proposed subdivision.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Go ahead.
So the major difference between the staff's recommendation and the planning and zoning's recommendations are what?
I would say the Planning and Zoning Commission wanted basically the rezone to R12 not to happen. So they would want that to remain as R6, which was that kind of that medium density, single family residential. And then that was, I would say, the main difference between where staff's recommendation is coming from and what the Planning and Zoning Commission thought.
Go ahead.
And based on the findings of fact, ACHD put multiple conditions on in terms of to address the traffic problems, issues that were raised by the public. Does staff feel that those do address the traffic problems?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Daly, a lot of the ACHD's comments with this application were related more to kind of the like street intersections. So basically with ACHD, they wanted this street used to kind of come up over here and they felt that this intersection was too close to the curve. So they wanted the applicant to kind of move the intersection over here. And then they also had some concerns with kind of the alleys kind of meeting their ACHD standards here. And then the applicant's still working with the with ACHD to get kind of this access point approved by ACHD.
One more. Was this analyzed based on, did you go through the picture of the topography? Yes, it's in the packet here, but I'm trying to find it. On the street, this one right here, this picture right here, did you show that one?
I don't have that in the presentation, but I can kind of show a little bit. So basically, there are, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Daly, there are some topography limits. And so basically, this is kind of lower. So this bottom portion is lower than this upper portion. So basically, as you're kind of go up Maple Grove, you're kind of going up a hill. So basically, the existing up here is kind of at the top of like a bench, and then this goes down to kind of a lower area. And so in order for the developer to kind of route this road here, it kind of required, the road to kind of go where it needs to go in order to make the connection over here. And so that kind of affected the lot layout for the residential product type.
Mr. Chairman, follow
Go
up.
ahead.
That's why I was asking the question in terms of the topography, the siting, in looking at it, the new residents, the increased residences there, and they would fit in the topography based on the staff's analysis?
They would, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions before we proceed? All right, is the applicant here? Go ahead.
Commissioners, Heath Clark, 251 East Front Street in Boise, representing the applicant. As we look at this project tonight, I do want to emphasize a couple of things, is that we are talking about an existing project, and it's a project that's got a bit of a history to it. And it's a project that needs some tweaks and in order to move forward. And I'm going to walk you through why some of those tweaks are being proposed, and then eventually I'll walk you through some of the changes that we've made to try to respond to the neighbors' concerns. Brent, is this working?
I believe so.
Great. Okay, so you're familiar with the location of the project, corner of Lake Hazel and Maple Grove Road. As Brent mentioned, that there is a variety of different housing types in the immediate area. If you would zoom out from here, you can see a number of 40-foot lots, 34-foot lots, multifamily apartments, all sorts of types of development in the area. This project does go back all the way to 2003. The current DA dates back to 2013. The project's moved forward slowly but steadily. If you look at the map, the remainder of Winters Run kind of extends to the northwest from the subject property. So these are phases 7 to 9 of the overall project. Phases 1 through 6 have already been developed and are fully built out. As you can also see, these are the existing zoning designations of R6 and C2. So the question that inevitably is going to come up tonight is, why are we changing this? Why are we going from the original preliminary plat? And a lot of that has to do with the road situation, which has changed from more than 10 years ago. So as you know, the roundabout at Maple Grove has been constructed. As that roundabout was constructed, that changed the spacing requirements. So we originally, with the pre-plat that you can see on the screen, had a connector, the collector, I should say, connected at the top, and then came south and southeast to match up with Lake Hazel Road. That is no longer allowed because of the Maple Grove roundabout. And instead, ACHD has said you need to make the collector align with Seabreeze Way on the west. So as a result of that, the preliminary plat that currently exists can't be built. That collector road has to be relocated. And that road layout is largely defined by the site characteristics. So Brent already walked you through the topography, and I'll show you a little bit more of the topography. That drives a lot of it. But I also want you to see some of the constraints related to the roadways. So if we start with the blue arrows, we have to start our collector street there at one blue arrow and make it down to the other blue arrow. We have turn radius requirements and spacing requirements. So that local street that's northwest, that's green, we need to make that local street connect with the collector, and it needs to do it in a location where you have enough sight distance on either side. So we had to, this actually was changed as one of the ACHD comments, and Commissioner Daley, we've made those changes other than the access point on Lake Hazel, by the way. But that drives that location of the local street. Then the other point that I would make is that we needed an access into the commercial. So that commercial access is shown in yellow with the yellow arrow. That's the minimum distance that we can be away from Lake Hazel. It's also the distance that we need to be able to see with that turn coming off of the collector on Tundra. So all of this is a puzzle that you have to put together based on the topography and based on ACHD's spacing requirements and their turn radius requirements. So a lot of what we're doing here tonight is trying to fit within those four corners of that box. And ultimately that drives the depth of these lots. So the lots on the north side, we don't have a ton of depth to work with there, but it's relevant to a point that I'll bring up here in a little bit. But it also deals with the commercial side. So that blue line that you see that goes across the project is where the current commercial zoning designation ends. Given where we need that commercial access, the yellow arrow to be, you have one of two options. You could have a row of kind of orphaned commercial that's probably going to rely on parking across the street, or you could pull the residential designation down and have something that's more viable, and then also be able to have a buffer from the commercial to the Winters Run lots on the east side over there. So that was the decision that was made, and again, it was largely based on geography of the site and the way the roads need to lay out. So a changed plat also means that we need to adhere to Boise City's requirements. So as you commissioners are painfully aware, Boise City updated their sewer policy not too long ago. One thing that's consistent in the sewer policy, before you had to have an existing preliminary plat to be able to connect, but you still had to be consistent with Blueprint Boise. That consistency with Blueprint Boise follows through today. So looking at Blueprint Boise, this project site has a mixed use designation on it. It's also a neighborhood activity center. And so in those areas, the Blueprint Boise speaks to non-residential uses like coffee shops and small-scale retail shops and office and all the things that we all want to see happen here. With regard to the residential side of things, it speaks to attached single-family units, garden apartments, patio homes, apartments, or condominium units. And the code speaks to being between 8 to 16 dwelling units per acre. So that's been one of the things that we've tried to work through is 8 to 16 dwelling units per acre is a lot for the site, but we need to be consistent with Blueprint Boise. So but one thing that we did was after the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, we did talk to Boise City about our plan to reduce some density. And as we understand it, they're okay with giving us a little bit more flexibility to come down closer to what you see today. So, but that consistency with Blueprint Boise is a requirement to be able to attach to sewer. And so that's one of the boxes that we have to fit in. Commissioner Daley, this kind of goes to your topography question. If you look at the topography of the site, if you look at this northwest corner, in just that small piece, you have a 17-foot drop right there. If you go 2 over from there, you have that same 17-foot drop. If you go all the way to the east side, you have a 37-foot drop. What that means is, again, we have to design around the topography, but what it also benefits the existing Winters Run neighborhood by doing is that it means we're below them. So we're not going to affect views. And in fact, our client has agreed to a single-story limitation to make sure that that won't be the case. And as you can see, this is kind of the feeling as you look down from the site. These are some site photos. Another constraint is access. So as mentioned, ACHD is currently not allowing the ride-in, ride-out that we've proposed in the location that's shown on the map. That's the X. We're going to continue working on that, but what that means is commercial is going to be affected. As you know, commercial viability requires rooftops, visibility, and access. And we're lacking access. We got about 1,400 feet of frontage from Maple Grove over to the existing connection. And that's another reason why we're concerned about doing a third row of commercial on this site. So hopefully that helps you to understand the thought that went into designing the site. This is what it looks like now. We do have the R12 and the C2 zones, 50 residential lots, commercial lots are 23. Amongst the residential lots, 28 are 50 feet wide and 22 are 34 foot wide. The 34 footers are the ones that surround that private lane B in the center of the project. So we unfortunately didn't get the outcome we wanted at the Planning and Zoning Commission, but we have taken another look at the project. We've tried to make changes to be responsive to the comments that we heard. I'm going to go over these in detail, but in summary, we reduced the lot count. It was originally 57. We had it at 54. Now it's down at 50. What that does is allows us to have the larger lots against the existing neighbors up against Winters Run. It's also, that applies to all of the lots that are north of the collector street. At certain neighbors' request, we made the 34-foot lots detached. So they're not townhomes, they're detached lots. So they're detached versus attached. We also agreed to have a CC&R restriction that limits rentals to make sure that this is as close to owner-occupied as you can get. We also modified the commercial roadway, which I'll discuss here in a little bit, and we added 4 new amenities. So as I mentioned, that first change, all of the lots against neighboring subdivisions are 50 feet wide. So why 50 feet? So one of the comments we had was, shoot for R8. We don't have enough depth to do true R8 lots up there because R8s require 5,000 square feet. Now, most of our lots are 5,000 square feet, but there's a handful that aren't. But what we've done is we've made each of those lots wider than the R8 standard. So R8 is a 45-foot frontage. We're doing 50. So each of those lots will act and live like an R8, even though they're not quite as deep as a typical R8. We made that change, but we're still going to stick with the single-story limitation that was offered at Planning and Zoning Commission. So I think that's significant. Second change was that the 34-foot lots would be detached. Because of their size, we would need those to be able to be two-story, but they will be detached. There are examples of this in the immediate vicinity. So right here, you have some 34-footers that are detached that are just to the southwest of this site. As I mentioned, the CCNRs will limit rentals. That's going to apply to all of the units, 50-foot and 34-foot. We think, improved the commercial roadway network. So what's on the left is the old drawing. What's on the east is the new drawing. If you look at that, we think it provides better connectivity across the site. But we also think it better buffers those winter run neighbors on the east, because rather than backing up to the commercial lots, they're now going to either back up to another residential lot or the street. And then fifth, we wanted to revisit the amenities. There was a lot of conversation at the last meeting about the existing amenities and whether they could handle the additional lots. This is not a huge subdivision. It does have two very nice amenities. I'll show you that here. That includes a 2.5-acre park and a 42 by 24-foot pool and barbecue area. There's also a play structure in the park. And as you can see, both amenities are within a stone's throw of this phase. We did talk to the property management company about the usage of the pool. Wanted to make sure that we had the real facts on that. The research that we did based on key fob activity shows that 5 to 7 households use the pool on each day, or around 10 to 15 individuals, with peak activity on certain Saturdays and weekends. So the conclusion from the property manager is that the pool is not overused, but we did hear the concern and we took it seriously. And we looked at what amenities would serve this in the larger project. So getting to that granular level, the likely residents in those 34-foot lots are probably going to be empty nesters, folks with fewer children. What kind of amenities would that serve, and what might be something that others in the development might like to use as well. And so while the pool and the large park are still nearby, they're still in the mix, we ended up adding 4 new amenities that we thought would be likely used by the residents. So the first is a dog park. This is on the west side of the the project, near an existing pathway where we think more active users are likely to benefit. Next to the 34-foot units, on the west side, we added a pollinator garden with a path and a swing bench. On the east side of the 34-footers, we added a covered picnic area. And then finally, at the mouth of the existing pathway from Winter's Run, we added a swinging bench and a seating area that we thought would be a nice thing for residents to use as they're headed down from the existing neighborhood down to use the commercial facilities. So 4 new amenities, reduction of lots, made them detached rather than attached, added the owner-occupied restrictions. We think we've tried to be as responsive as we can. So we are in agreement with the original staff conditions. I understand with the planning and zoning recommendation, because it was for denial, the conditions aren't attached, but I just wanted to clarify that we are in agreement with the original conditions. And then we would ask that the commitments that we've made tonight be imposed on us by conditions of approval. We want to show that commitment, so I've provided those here on the slide. And with that, my time's up, so I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for applicant? Go ahead.
Chair. So your request for additional considerations, you came up with those after the P and Z hearing,
That's correct.
based on recommendations you heard there?
That's correct, Commissioner Davidson. And then I also met with a couple of neighbors that re-emphasized the need for more amenities. So that was what we were able to come up with based on those conversations.
For your amenities, if you didn't put those in, would you have room for more housing?
Yes, we're trying to run a balance here between, what the neighbors are wanting, what Boise City is saying in terms of density. But yeah, if we didn't have the amenities, we could squeeze more housing in.
So you're sacrificing more housing to put the amenities in. I think that's it.
Okay, got any questions? Go ahead.
I guess a couple of questions. So the lot size increase, back to what Commissioner Davidson was saying, that from 54 to 50, in essence, you were able to do the amenities in that construct.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Daly, so the change on the lot size on the exterior was not driven by the amenities. The amenities are all down outside of those areas. So what we did there was sacrifice lots in order to increase those lot sizes. With regard to the amenities down in the 34-foot area, I'm certain if we wanted to get creative and look at storm drain and deal with all of that, we could figure out ways to jam more units in there, but that's not the plan. And we tried to work with the existing open space rather than modifying those lots down there. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So the staff indicated that there's a vet clinic as part of that. Is that something that's already agreed to, or is that kind of a concept, or?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Daly, it's assuming we have an approval, that would be
Right.
going forward. So we have a master site plan to permit the specific use that would be the vet clinic. Obviously, we need to get a plat done and
Right.
be able to partition the property and do all those sorts of things for that to move forward.
One more question.
Go ahead.
So do you have any other commercial interest?
We do. We do. A lot of the hesitation we're getting on the commercial interest has to do with that access point. So the commercial users are really concerned about folks having to go the 1,400 feet all the way to the west side and then come back to be accessed if you're not coming from the north down Maple Grove. It's what one of my clients refers to as a Statue of Liberty lot. You can see it, but you can't get to it. That means it's hard to make it marketable.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
So on the commercial, is any of it designed with the neighborhood in mind, where neighbors can walk to it and make use of it?
Yeah, absolutely, Commissioner Davidson. So if you look, let me see. So if you look at the site, there's a number of ways for the neighbors to be able to get there. One would be there's already a pathway you can see about just east of kind of the center line there coming out of the existing neighborhood, and that pathway continues into the commercial, and that's where we propose to put that meeting, swinging bench seating area, was for that reason. And then in addition, you would have your typical pedestrian connectivity along the collector road and allow folks to get in that way very easily as well.
What's your overall vision for the commercial side of this development?
I wish it was less dependent on what ACHD tells me on that access point, but overall vision is we'd love to see, maybe a fuel center or some sort of neighborhood kind of grocery type on the far east side, a few restaurants, and maybe on some office on the back side that's not as visibility dependent. That there's always that question of what visibility folks need. So we would think that the restaurants would go out front and then maybe some office out back.
Have you heard from the neighbors about what they're envisioning there for their own use?
I've definitely been hearing restaurants, but I'm certain. I know there's a real desire to have more commercial in this area, and we're hoping that this kind of packages it up in a way where it's commercial the most viable it can be.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
So back to that map right there. The old road did come down around and had access to on that.
Let's see, I had it there.
So, but that is now in the new design. What is that access? Is that just pedestrian? What is that access?
Yeah, so we're, Commissioner Daly, excuse me. So we're proposing that to be a vehicular access. I'll try to, let's see, does this pointer work? Nope, I thought it might not on that screen. Can the commissioner see this screen over here from that angle?
They're the same.
Okay, so if you look at the drawing on the right, there, it's referred to as a continuous service drive, so it would be a vehicular access. What we've been working on with ACHD is that spacing issue. Our latest proposal with ACHD, if you look closely down against Lake Hazel Road, we had added acceleration and deceleration lanes to address any safety concerns. We were hopeful that that would break the logjam, but they're still pushing back on us. So my expectation is that, and we've requested, can we move it just a little bit further west and address the safety concerns, and we're waiting for answers on that. And so we're trying to work around that, but really to make a big chunk of that commercial viable, we really need to get that access solved.
Mr. Chairman, that's why I was asking the question, because you said access is a key factor. It looked like you did have the access there, but that is still under discussion with ACHD.
That's correct. One of ACHD's comments was to remove that access, and then we took another run at them with this latest drawing. We're still not there yet. All of their other comments have been addressed.
Okay, I have a question. You mentioned in your presentation that you were going to put in your restrictive covenants a limitation on rentals. What is that limitation?
Well, at the very least, it would be a limitation saying rentals have to be of a certain length to make sure that you don't get short-term rental folks coming in and out, which I think is a large part of the concern. So that would typically either be a 6 or a 12-month limitation, and usually the longer the limitation, the more likely you are to keep the kind of equity investor types out. That's your typical method. Owner occupied can be a little bit more difficult to enforce, just because you don't go check name tags on folks when they're in and out of the houses, and so it becomes a problem for the association. So we usually do it with the rental terms.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? Go ahead.
Actually, one more question. In the original design, because you had the original plan, the zoning was to have commercial go halfway up, I guess the topography up the hill, I guess is what you said. But now, so why did you design it that way in the first place in terms of commercial, when now it doesn't fit, as it were?
Yeah, unfortunately, that question predates me, Commissioner Daly, so I don't have a good answer for you. But the commercial, as it currently exists, if you look on the east side, that northern boundary, it pretty much just runs straight along. My guess is it was just, hey, here's a line, let's run the line all the way across, but I don't know if any more thought was put to it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, now we'll take public comments, and want to remind everyone that your comments are limited to 3 minutes. And we've got a timer over here. If you see the red light shine, get up and wrap it up. And then after everyone that wants to speak has had a chance to speak, we'll give the applicant 5 minutes to do any rebuttals that's necessary. Okay? All right, first one up, I've got a Victor Overton.
My name's Victor Overton. We moved into Winter's Run in 2012. And at that time, we were told that that was going to be commercial property. And things have changed a lot over the years. And the amount of people that's moved into the area, right now, just trying to get out onto the roads has become a nightmare. It's hard to even exit our own subdivision. The PowerPoint that he showed, great PowerPoint. The only problem is the pool that he showed, that really is not our pool. Our common areas, they're not kept up. Talked about our playground. From what I understand, our playgrounds are broke. So now you want to add all these houses, pile them in, and I just don't see it being a benefit to anybody, especially the people that have lived there all this time. It's not doing us any favors, adding extra houses. It's going to put a burden on the people that are there. So it's going to overburden the pool, which, could you show the pool again? Would you mind? That pool doesn't look hardly anything like that. That pool is smaller than the area you guys are sitting in, basically, which honestly, it doesn't do us any good. Most of us are older, grandkids that want to go there, it's crowded. Now you want to put 50-some more homes in and add all that, those kids to that pool. We've got a waterfall in the park that he was talking about. It hasn't even been turned on this year. Doesn't run. We don't know why. It didn't run most of last year. So he's got all these plans, they have, of making things better for us, but really it's not. It's just creating more problems for the people that live there. We already can't, like I said, we can't get on the roads. It's not benefiting any of the homeowners there. It's just putting more of a burden on us as taxpayers for the police, the fire department, everything that was already said, which has already been outlined many times. So really, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that we moved there and we were told one thing. It's changed numerous times. He talked about a puzzle. Why do we have to help build the puzzle? The puzzle was already figured out when most of us moved in there. Why's it got to change? It shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to carry the burden of what they want. They should really be trying to fit, we need more commercial. It's obvious. If you guys have ever drove there on a Friday or any time in the evenings, say 4 o'clock on, the roundabout actually created a worse situation for us because now the traffic flow is great, but we can't get out of our own subdivision. But I hope you guys will consider this, what we said. It's a nightmare, but thank you.
I have a question for you. Sir, do you have a homeowners association?
No, the builder is our homeowners association. We don't have one. He is the homeowners association. We do not, until the way it was written, I believe in our original, I don't know what you call it, but he retains basically all rights to the homeowners association until the last lots are sold. And so, no, we've lived there since, like I said, 2012, and we've never had a say in anything, nothing. Which is kind of a travesty, honestly. And we would all like to have something to say because, our water situation, like I said, we used to have flowers in front of our subdivision, which were really pretty. There hasn't been flowers he hasn't put flowers out there in years, 2 or 3 years. Our playground equipment, somebody posted pictures on our Winners Run site that our playground equipment's broke. And you should look at it. I mean, our playground equipment, most of it could fit in this little corner. It's pathetic. It really is. For the amount of kids that live there, it's not good. No, we don't have a homeowners association. We can't even get our waterfall, which was a beautiful waterfall. Like I said, last year, I don't even think it worked half the summer. I don't even think it's been turned on this year.
All right.
Now,
All right, any other questions for okay, thank you.
Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
go ahead.
thank you.
So what exactly are you advocating for? I mean, you know what you're against, but what are you advocating for?
Well, I'm against more houses.
What are you
Because-
for?
I'm for more commercial, for something that the people here, all these people could use, that we could, like you said before, walk to, restaurants, a gas station, anything. Anything would be better than more houses. You had 50-some houses, 2 cars each, and getting in and out of our subdivision's a nightmare, like I said. Now you add that many more trying to get in and out and get onto the roads. What's it gonna do?
So you want the entire parcel to be commercial?
I would like less commercial, more commercial, and a lot less houses, because the houses are gonna do us no good.
All right,
What they're
thank
gonna
you.
do is create a burden on what we already have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tavita Bird. Please, let's not have any more outbursts like this. We're here to try to conduct a professional hearing, and that this is not conducive to that. So we'll ask you to leave if you have to have applause. So is Tavita in?
Yep. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tavita Bird. I've been a resident of Winters Run since May 2011. I'm here in support of the Planning and Zoning Commissioner's recommendation for denial of the proposed Winter Run rezoning and subdivision modification application. I understand that the staff recommendation approval, partner agencies have identified pathways for the project technically meeting minimum service requirements, that the applicant has made revisions following planning and zoning reviews. Also appreciate the applicant has maintained some commercial component within the proposed and continued working within ACHD on roadway access and mitigation. However, I still believe the broader cumulative impacts associated with increased density and development with R12 will have additional impacts to the infrastructure. Maple Grove and Lake Hazel has already been congested. School traffic stacking during peak hours, existing ingress and egress limitations, and even with reduced lot count, density intensity remains elevated. Meeting minimum agency requirements does not necessarily mean the surrounding infrastructure is adequately prepared to continue density increases. I'm also concerned about the long-term cumulative impact of continued density increase in Southwest Boise. So existing infrastructure is already reacting to growth. Additional density continues increasing transportation demand. Long-term planning should prioritize infrastructure concurrency, and growth should occur in coordination with roadway and public service capacity. Growth should occur in coordination with infrastructure expansion, not anticipation of it. I'm not opposed to growth. Growth is inevitable, but my concern is ensuring growth remains aligned with infrastructure capacity and sustainable long-term planning. For those reasons, I respectfully support the Planning and Zoning's recommendation for denial. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anita Alexander?
I'm Anita Alexander, and when we purchased our home in 2023, the property behind us was zoned R6. We were told that the same types of homes would be built behind us, and that is currently like the rest of the subdivision. As much as I love our home and our neighbors, had we understood the lack of integrity and transparency of the developer landowner, we would never have bought into such a political mess. We do not want high-density or duplex homes in our backyard. It does not matter what type of housing is across Maple Grove or Lake Hazel. We want it the way that it was promised to us whenever we purchased our home. We intentionally purchased a home, a nice home in this subdivision, and we thought that the last phase would be completed soon, and it hasn't even started yet. We ask that you keep it as zoned R6.
Thank you. Karen Marshall?
Hi, my name's Karen Marshall. We live at 9260 Westert Drive. And I request on behalf of me and my spouse that this be kept to R6 zoning. But the pool, the amenities are horrible. Whatever the little meter says that, get in and out of the pool area, you drive by there and all the chairs are taken. There's a lot of children. The pool is too small. The amenity there is too small for the size of our subdivision as it is. And the park, they did put in a better play area. I don't know what you call those things for children with all the bars and stuff, that it was vandalized by and the kids couldn't play there for a while, and the upkeep is terrible. And like Victor was saying, the upkeep of what we have now is poor. He mentioned the waterfall, and just when you enter a subdivision, it's supposed to be welcoming, and there's no flowers and things, just like Victor said. But our biggest concern is the traffic flow, and I don't understand why the zoning is not, the Boise zoning is not allowing the access to that commercial area down there, because right across the street at the apartments, the entrance to that is even closer than that area is. And I don't have a pointer, so I can't point it out to you, but that confuses me of why that's not being allowed. Because like you said, he has turn lanes there. And across the street, those apartments, yes, right there where that arrow was, that's closer to the roundabout than that other access place is. So I'm confused about the plan, about that. But bottom line is, the high density in traffic is a problem right now. And getting out of the subdivision is difficult. Sometimes getting back in is difficult. But, and the traffic on Lake Hazel just increases and increases and increases every year. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Grace.
David Grace. Thank you, Commissioners. It's pretty simple. For the reasons you denied the application by PEG Companies back in May of 2024 to rezone a C2 district lot to R12 in Hazelwood Village are the exact same reasons you should deny this application tonight. Number one, there's already over 500 rental apartments just across the street on the south side of Lake Hazel. There's a plethora of residential in that area and virtually zero commercial within at least a 1 mile radius. Number two, the Planning and Zoning Committee, as previously mentioned, who you guys appointed, already agreed with our position that the remaining commercial land on that corner needs to be preserved. By evidence of tonight's attendance and the opposition that we've heard and will continue to hear, the vast majority of your constituents clearly don't want this. We desperately need more commercial in that area. In fact, this is essentially the last piece of available C2 zone and land in that area. So if you approve these modifications, you know, it'll be gone forever. I implore you, please trust the original zoning planners and developers who already knew decades ago why that specific piece was so important. Let's keep everything as is. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. David Nelson.
Good evening, Commissioners. David Nelson. Thank you for your time. I can tell you this, the 5,000 some odd trips per day is going to just make congestion so much worse. The roundabout alone has created far more problems than bringing the roundabout in the first place. The restricted light that was there a couple years ago controlled traffic way better than the roundabout. So the only option for people to leave the neighborhood, it's going to force traffic up into our neighborhood because they won't be able to leave down through the lower routes that are suggested in the original plan. I want to preserve the commercial. I'm against the additional residential for the reasons that we've heard so far, the amenities, the character of the neighborhood, so on and so forth. So it's just going to add more things, more problems, more people in an already dense and traffic-restricted area. So I am against more houses, and I'm for more commercial. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Could I ask you a question before you sit down? So are you advocating that the entire property be commercial?
I would be advocating for that, yes.
And then just regarding traffic, and maybe other people can address this too as they come up, but it's totally understandable, the traffic, you know, it's only getting worse. But for all the commercial there, and you want more commercial, I mean, that's gonna drive traffic as well. And, you know, the way a business makes money is to get as many customers as possible. So how do you know that the commercial's not going to generate more traffic than the residential?
I don't. Commissioner Davidson, I don't know. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Conrad Hunter? I hope I said that right. Okay, thank you.
I'm married to David, and I'm Conrad Hunter, and we bought this house, it's 2019-ish, and watched this neighborhood develop, and I just attest to the fact that it was beautiful when we moved in, and it's gotten shabbier every year. There are dead trees around the waterfall, everyone's mentioned, and they don't get maintained, no more flowers. You know, things are damaged, so if they can't keep that already, I don't think the amenities they offered down below, other than maybe the small dog park area, really add to the neighborhood. I really think we need commercial. We have a pizza place and McDonald's, and that is it. It's like a food desert out there. It's really, other than one grocery store, not many options, a coffee shop and some businesses we'd really love to see in that area. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Megan Richmond?
Hi there. My name is Megan Richmond, and I completely hate public speaking, so the fact that I'm here is a big deal doing this. But one thing I wanted to point out about this, I live actually in a neighborhood connected to Winners Run. We've been there since 2009, so we've watched all of this happen too. I don't have a pointer, but the road where the access road comes out, as you can see across there, there's another road, and that's Charter Point. I don't see, you're gonna need a light there, you're gonna need another roundabout. I've had to drive my kids, yep, right there, over to Charter Point. You cannot get out of that subdivision because of the roundabout and all of the flow of traffic. You really need to go right, go around the roundabout to come back out. You can't turn left. When I drive home at 5 o'clock on Friday, because they've never expanded 5 Mile, they put a McDonald's in, they're building all of that up with zero infrastructure. So we have this tiny little light that sits at 5 Mile. And so the road will block all the way back to Cole Road and past and beyond. There will be a line of cars where we just sit and we go every day. I think that's gonna have to be resolved either way. Really, you shouldn't approve anything until 5 Mile is fixed. I mean, that's my opinion from all the way from Cloverdale to Cole Road. Any building of any kind, we have zero infrastructure. It is awful out there. We need more commercial. We don't need more houses. We have so many apartment complexes and kids. We don't have full sidewalks. I think the whole thing should be denied until we have a complete infrastructure. Also, irrigation water, we can barely irrigate. We're all off the same irrigation. Is this neighborhood, will it continue to suck off of our well? So there are a lot of other questions that I guess I still have of where all those resources are gonna come from to provide for this. Yes, commercial will bring in more traffic, as you had asked about that being an issue. However, a lot of people are gonna walk to this. We have zero, we have nothing. Like, we have no commercial. Like she said, we have a McDonald's, we have an Albertsons, we finally got a coffee shop or two, but we really need this to be commercial. We don't need more houses, we don't need more people to congest that. And if they don't fix 5 Mile before they put all these other houses in, then we're just gonna continue to sit on a one-lane road with nowhere to go. So that's all I have. Irrigation, roads, infrastructure.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Thank you.
Carlos Fidelis?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you very much for the time to speak to you today. My name is Carlos Vidales. I live at 10963 West Oleana Drive. The first point I'd like to make is that I'm adamantly opposed to this rezoning. I also became familiar with this lot, I think, back in 2022, and the first thing I found out is that the whole thing had previously been C2. It had been rezoned to R6, the section's R6 only recently. So the whole thing was C2. There are 3 reasons why I'm opposed to this rezoning. The first one is that, we need more businesses there. The closest retailer is a mile away, near my house, at the corner of Lake Hazel and 5 Mile. That's where the McDonald's is and the Albertsons. That is the closest retailer anywhere you go. You have to go 2 miles north. You cannot go as far as you want south. You'll not find a retailer, and several miles east before you find anything. So there's no retailers. We need a lot of businesses in there. The second one is I don't think the city of Boise is requiring that this land is rezoned. They would like to see higher density if you're going to rezone, but the fact is that you just look at the wide area. I cannot understand why planners look at this piece of land that has 12, 20 acres and they say, oh, we need to have combination of housing and retailing here. When they look at just the wide area, there's 3,000 houses around it. North of it, if I please have right there, in the south is about 500 apartments, perhaps 400 or 500 apartments, R20. Next slide, please. And right there is also Charter Point. That's 1,200 homes, 1,200 single homes just south of the land. Next slide, please. Okay, north, they have Winters Run, which is, 150 to 100 homes. And then to the west, you have another 100, 150 homes, including some more apartments. And finally, the next slide, on the east, you have another 500 homes. There is about 3,000 homes surrounding this area of land that doesn't have any retailers. So everybody has to drive everywhere to be able to go shopping. So the last thing is that there were some comparisons that have been made to Hazelwood Village, that these houses would be like Hazelwood Village. I say that's not the case, not at all. I live there, and they have strategically placed the houses. They're a little bigger, and they're strategically placed so they don't become a problem. I'd like to show you something that is more like this development that they've been proposing. Please show me the last slide. That happens to be the townhouses that are built north of my neighborhood. The developer had the wisdom of making them into a separate HOA. However, they also have an owner-occupied construction. 3-4 years later, 85% of those units are rentals. There's nothing wrong with rentals, but they really need to be on a separate HOA. Now, these developers say they have an HOA at Winters Run. It's just that it's not under control of the homeowners, it's control of the developer. He's trying to put these houses into an HOA that has R6 homes. He's going to wreck the HOA. They're never going to be able to agree because most of these houses will become rentals sooner than later. So that's the essence, please. I'm opposed to it. Please deny the application. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Brent, if you want to put a map back up. Okay, so you and everybody else are advocating for more commercial, but, just visually looking at this, it looks about 50%, maybe a little less of the project is commercial, so are you saying that is not enough?
I don't think we can ever have enough businesses in this area because we already have about 1/10 of the businesses per capita that they do close to Fairview, for example. I once did numbers. Boise has 25 residents per business. This area by my house has about 560 residents per business. This area is even lower in number of businesses, very many more people than businesses.
Well, and so, looking at the northern part, what is that road? Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, the northern road is part of Winters Run. It's inside.
Well, no,
Winters.
north of Tundra there. I mean, just looking at that, if I were to say, well, I got to put businesses there, that seems kind of far away from the main road that people might not make their way back there. So are you saying that should be businesses as well?
To be honest, I haven't considered it. I do know that it was C2 at one time, and it was converted to R6. And if it was my personal choice, I would say, okay, don't rock the boat anymore. Just build R6 where you said you're going to build R6, and build commercial where there's now C2, because that was the status quo when I came to Idaho. I do know that initially even that area was C2.
Then I'm also trying to figure out if the people who live directly bordering that, would they prefer to have a business border them or a residence? Maybe people who live in those homes, if they're here, they can testify. I mean, I could imagine, if that was me, I'd prefer to have a residence border me than a business, but I suppose it depends what the business is, but.
Okay, I'll answer it a different way. I actually looked at that neighborhood when I was looking to buy in Idaho, and I was told that that land just south of the houses was going to be R6, and there were businesses beyond. And I would have been willing to buy with that condition. Everybody who has bought Winters Run, the houses, they already knew pretty much the same thing I knew, that the upper half was going to be R6 and that the lower half was going to be businesses. So I think that was the status quo as of 7, 8 years ago. Why can't it stay like that? That means please deny the rezoning. Just let it proceed like the plan was 7 or 8 years ago. It seemed to be reasonable at the time.
Okay, any more other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Carlos, you mentioned a little bit about, do you have any kind of study or statistics on how many houses would support certain kinds of businesses? Because just because it's zoned commercial doesn't mean a business could support themselves in that location. So is there some kind of a benchmark that you're using to say this geographical area with these number of houses around it can support businesses?
That's a fair question. I looked it up at the one time. I do not know. I can tell you that any study that you look at, they're looking at more like California. They want density like California to put businesses. I will tell you that it's more significant what people see. If I want to buy a set of screws right now, I need to drive from my home near Lake Hazel on my 5 mile all the way to Overland because there's no hardware store. Okay, so I have more like that kind of experience that almost anything I need to purchase, I have to get on the car and drive a long distance because there are no retailers nearby. But yes, there are studies, and I've seen them, and all of them require a housing density which is unrealistic for this area of the county.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carlos. Carol Vidalis.
Good evening, Carol Vidalis, 10963 West Oleana Drive. I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm also opposed to this, just like everybody else. I want to keep the commercial. Even if people don't come now, they will eventually come. But one thing I want to mention is I've been to about 4 different neighborhood meetings about this property over the last probably 4 years. And my understanding has been at those, when we've asked questions, the builder doesn't have any, or the developer doesn't have any desire to develop the commercial. The last I heard and understood, he planned to sell that land that's zone C2. So, anything you're hearing about commercial is kind of like, it'll be somebody else that'll be driving that one unless they've all of a sudden decided to develop it. Another issue I just want you to be aware of is the townhomes ahead of, just north of Hazelwood Village. They have very strict parking rules in their CCNRs, and they have a 2-car garage and 2-car driveways. And there's still cars all over the street, even though their CCNR said no. Fortunately, they haven't spilled into Hazelwood Village yet. But everything I hear at these meetings, developers will say, oh, this is going to be helping the first-time home buyers or empty nesters that don't want to have to do this or that. But all these investors come in and buy, and you can't restrict it. And I agree with what's been said, too, that this is a totally different product. If you have all single-family homes, and then now you want to bring in more dense and townhomes, it's a totally different product. And it's not going to be easy as an HOA to manage that. So thank you.
Thank you. Brian Daigle. Brian or Kristen Daigle. Frank and Betsy Hernandez. Blaine Chair Patterson.
Sure.
Yes.
2 people walking up.
Oh, okay. All right, excuse me. Welcome, Betsy.
My name's Betsy Hernandez. I'm at 9226 West Stirrup Drive. My house will be directly, go across the street. That's me right there. I have lived in the Winters Run subdivision since 2007. I was given the understanding that by moving into Ada County and not into Boise City, that it was going to be a little bit more relaxed, a little more open space. That's what a lot of people in my neighborhood were hoping for and expecting. We were given to understand, because when we first moved in, there were signs everywhere, okay, this is the planned community. And that area was always going to have the same characteristics of the existing neighborhood. And that's what I was told, and there's been a bait and switch. The commercial area, I understood was going to happen, but I think even if they left it like that and then changed out the 34-foot townhome homes on the lower part of their new residential across from the deep freeze street, it would make a lot of difference for our community. My house backs up to what they're calling a large park. And I really appreciate that area, but it is a place where children play, dogs run, families enjoy their time, and the children are always walking home from school. They cross that road that's going to be coming from Lake Hazel and will become a thoroughfare up through past my house into that area. And then you can't see, but it turns right and it goes out to Maple Grove. There are children walking across there, coming home from school, people walking their dogs. If you increase the flow through traffic in there, it's going to be very dangerous. I worry about that. And I will also reiterate that swimming pool is about the size as a postage stamp. So you can't really, the bathrooms are, it looks like it's a house, like a place where you can have parties and things. But those are just bathrooms. And then there's this little pool. This picture to the left is deceiving. I don't know who took it, but it looks like it makes it real big, but it is not very big. And so if you have no open space for the homes that are going to be built, all that space that is 34-foot houses, I would like to see that become office buildings. Oh, does that mean I need to be quiet? Or
If you could-
office buildings,
Yes, if you
or
could wrap it up now.
some more R6.
Okay,
Thank you very much for your time.
okay, all right, thank you. Is Frank Hernandez here? Wish to speak?
No.
Okay. Okay, Blaine?
Hello, Blaine Patterson, 9137 West Herb Drive, Boise, Idaho. You can see my house in that picture right there. It backs up to the fence of this proposal. My request is we stick to the plan. R6 on top, commercial on the bottom. It fits the character of their neighborhood. It was a decision that I did my due diligence when I bought my house. I looked at what's the zoning going to be, what is it. I made some pretty important decisions based on that. Commute, some of us still have to commute to work. I encourage people to come experience taking a left from Sagebrush onto Maple Grove, or watching the traffic back up in Charter Point. Somebody called out that intersection with Charter Point and the new proposed road. It will be a nightmare. It's a nightmare right now with Charter Point. So yeah, if you want to experience that, I'd come out at commute times, try and take a left out of there. It's insane. Luckily, people are nice and will stop and let you out sometimes, but the wait is incredible. In the HOA that we have now, CCNR said you have to be owner occupied for 2 years before it could become a rental. I don't know if it's still subject to the same HOA, but that was the papers I signed when I bought. The property in Winters Run has been, I would say, mismanaged over the last couple of years. Worse is the weeds down there where this proposed is. You can't hardly ride your bike along the sidewalk down there without picking up a bunch of goat heads. It hasn't been managed well at all. So at closing, I just say, stick to the plan, right? The plan with R6 on top that matched the neighborhood, commercial on the bottom, that allows the commercial to stick to the plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is Sheriff Patterson here?
I spoke for her.
Oh, okay.
Both signed
Oh.
up. Yeah.
Well, she can speak if she wants. Okay, thank you. Dinesh Villamala.
Hello, I'm Dinesh, and I have been a resident of Winters Run since 21. When I moved into the neighborhood, I was informed that the land behind me was zoned for commercial use, and the land above was R6, like Blaine mentioned. So I would like to stick to the plan. So the gentleman who presented tonight included impressive visuals and detailed explanation of the project, yet it failed to explain why increasing residential density is central part of completing the puzzle. I failed to understand that. I also question the swimming pool usage statistics that were presented. A pool can easily appear underutilized when it is not consistently maintained. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old who love swimming, yet I take them to the YMCA Tomlinson, which is several miles away, because the pool is not consistently well kept. The traffic and parking are additional concerns for me. Preserving the current commercial zoning would help reduce the likelihood of overflow parking and overnight parking as well, which could negatively impact the character and safety of our neighborhood. Commissioner Davidson, you asked about having commercial, how does it improve traffic? It's not only traffic, but the parking situation is also something we need to consider. If there's high density residential, then the parking could spill over into my neighborhood, which will be a concern.
Okay,
Right, thank you.
thank you. Hasini? Is Hasini Villamala here? Does she wish to speak?
No, she's not here. I spoke.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Stephen Eddington.
I'm Steve Edgington. I agree with most everybody else's assessment that the residential should be consistent with the current development, not a higher density. And I'm fine with whatever they do with the commercial side of it. And I also agree with the problem with traffic on both Lake Hazel and Maple Grove is pretty bad, in that the roundabout did not help at all. That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Cody Pelosi?
Cody Flock, 9208 West Stirrup Drive.
Okay.
The only reason this project is a puzzle, as the applicant stated, is because they want it to be a puzzle. The easy solution could have been done at any time and years ago. The easy solution is what they've been selling to the residents that have been buying those properties for the last 20 years. It's 18 homes and the rest commercial. That's what they've been selling. That's what the original proposal was. And that's what most of my neighbors who say less residential, more commercial are meaning, is stick to the original plan. 18 homes that are consistent with the other 200 that they sold to people, and we're telling them that this was going to be a single family community. That's what we're asking you to do, is to hold them to that original plan. We need you to do that for us because we can't. You're our representatives that have to stand up to us, and for the 200 people that have bought those homes over the last 20 years from this developer, when he said it was going to be a single-family detached community, and he was going to build the amenities for that proposal. The amenities, anyway, so the single-family detached is what we're asking you to do here. And sorry, I lost my train of thought, but not only holding him accountable here is, the developers, they all do the easy stuff and profitable stuff first. He built out 200 beautiful homes, and he kicked the can for the commercial down the road until the very end because it wasn't as profitable. And then when it finally got time to do it, now he's trying to change the game. He's trying to say, well, I don't want to do as much. He's out of extensions, he's out of time, and now he's making a last-ditch effort to get you guys to allow him to do something different than what he had been promising for 20 years. Please hold him accountable. Please make him do what he said he was going to do for 20 years. Please, 18 homes, the rest commercial like the original plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanna Flock?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Joanna Flock. I live at 9208 West Stirrup Drive in Winters Run subdivision. We bought in the subdivision in 2017. When we purchased, there were two phases, two additional R6 phases to be built. Since we have lived there, between the years of 2018 and 2022, 35 homes went into one of the R6 phases, sold very quickly. They're beautiful homes. And the additional 18 homes is what was proposed. It's what was told to us, and that's what we're asking. We're asking for you to deny the rezone, keep the zoning as is, keep the plan with 18 homes and the commercial space that is desperately needed out in our area. The developer is pointing that the ACHD road realignment requirements justify altering the project. And I'm not understanding how a road realignment dictates or requires or justifies tripling the density in our neighborhood. We had a choice when we moved to Southwest Boise to choose a neighborhood that included some of that higher density housing, and we chose to not have that. We specifically chose a neighborhood that was designated R6 because that's where we wanted to live. We didn't want to live in a higher density area. Please, please deny. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy Leet? I mean, I can't be saying it right. Is it Wendley? L-E-E-T? Leet? Okay. Wayne Kelly?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Wayne Kelly. I live at 11275 West Saluna Drive in Hazelwood Village. I too support commercial. Being a landscape architect, I see lots of bad things with this particular plan. I do not support high-density housing at this location. We're choking on two-lane roads out there right now. So traffic is an issue. The impact on Winters Run, I'm very sensitive to, and I just wanted to speak my opposition to high-density housing. I would support the R6 original plan, original zoning plan, and the commercial. I do not support any imposition into the commercial part of the parcel at all. So I would support the original zoning plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheena Nettles? Sheena Nettles?
I'm Sheena Nettles at 9352 West Avalanche.
We moved in 2015, and I would like to keep the zoning as is. The commercial was zoned there for a reason, is the lack of commercial in the area. And I know everybody's talked about the traffic and the pool, but that's because they are major issues. I have 2 kids, and a lot of times I will send them on their bikes to go check the pool before we go to see how many people are there. Because it's crowded, and there's only maybe 10 chairs at the most, 0 shade, and the traffic in the evening, it's backed up at least from Maple Grove to 5 Mile. And if you want to go to Albertsons, which is the only grocery store, it's gonna take you 10 to 15 minutes to drive a mile, just because of the traffic. So more commercial would be great, because the traffic is not changing anytime soon, because ACHD keeps putting off the widening of Lake Hazel. So,
Thank you. Chantel,
I'm Chantel Adair at 5833 South Arctic Way. We have lived there since 2010, and I oppose this rezoning and would like it to stay the same way that it was originally presented to us when we moved in. We have lots of kids that play in our neighborhood. It's very active. My concern is all of these new homes and parking and the more traffic that's going to come in and out through our home. It's not safe for the kids to be playing outside. And I would just like to oppose it and present that we keep it the same way that it was originally planned.
thank you. Daniel Adair.
Danny Adair. I live over off of Arctic Way. I appreciate the county planner's foresight in planning to have adequate commercial property in our area. As residential density continues to increase, we find ourselves with less and less local walking distance, opportunity for services, and less opportunity for local walk-to-work job creation. Increasing housing will directly affect my family on Arctic Way, just above this new area. The increased traffic will decrease their safety as my three children play with their friends outside. We bought into the original plan in 2010. Please stick to the plan and deny the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Barnes.
Evening, gentlemen. Nick Barnes, 5836 South Arctic Way. I'm going to do my best to not regurgitate all of the same comments that you've heard from everybody, but just know 100% agreement with what everybody has said so far. In addition to what Carlos had brought up, he had some slides up there and he was showing you some of the different developments and kind of the home counts in those areas. I think we really need to also consider the fact that Locale is just to the east on Lake Hazel of this intersection, where that's a planned development of over 2,000 homes. If you head south on Maple Grove from this intersection, you've got another planned subdivision that'll be going in, Muriel Farms. That's another 3,500 homes that are going in over there as well. And this doesn't account for any of the other infill projects that are happening all over in South Boise. And just like everybody else says, I will echo, we really do need more goods and services. It shouldn't take me 45 minutes to go to the local hardware store for potting soil because we've got a new plant to put in to maintain whatever the HOA wants us to do. So the real question is, why do we need more
rooftops down here. Why do we need more residents? I don't think we have any shortage of it whatsoever. What we do need is infrastructure. We need goods and services. And I think that the infrastructure should be leading the development, not the development leading the infrastructure. We really need you guys to deny their application for rezone and PUD. We would request that you keep the application, or deny the application and keep the zoning as it stands. R6, keep the commercial that's there, makes every one of the residents on that side of town happy. There's been talks about the traffic. Now, I know that there's kind of a mixed feeling about what traffic is going to do with commercial, and some people suggest that, well, commercial is going to bring more traffic as well. But in fairness, that kind of stabilized traffic rather than these peaks and valleys with rush hour traffics in the morning and in the evenings. It's impossible to get anywhere on that end of town. Well, if we had the goods and services, I would be benefited here because it'd just be just down the street from me. But all of the local residents there, the probably, I don't know, 10,000 plus homes in that specific area would have closer access to additional goods and services, which would lower the number of miles that we have to drive or the hours that we have to sit in the car waiting in stop and go traffic just to travel a couple of miles down the road to get the basic needs that we seek every single day. So please deny their application for rezone, keep it R6, leave the C2, let us get the businesses that we own on that end of town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Melissa Remuer.
I'm gonna go for her. She's my wife. I think I'm on the list too, but.
Okay.
Hi, my name's Mike Romero. I live at 9244 West Stirrup Drive, next to Betsy, basically. We moved here, we bought this home in 2018, knowing that it was gonna be commercial with a little bit of residential behind. So a story for my son, when we moved in, he was, I'm not good with the math, but he was pretty young. We used to be out front playing basketball all the time. When they did that roundabout, they directed all the traffic through our neighborhood. We had cars going 30, 40 miles an hour right down that way to get through because the roundabout was closed. During that time, we were like, we couldn't play basketball. We couldn't even go outside because there was thousands of cars coming through our neighborhood. My mother-in-law, she got pissed. She called the sheriff. They sat out there probably every single night and pulled people over every night because there's so many cars coming through. So I would like to keep it the way it was planned. A high density, it will bring more cars through our neighborhood to get out that way. And it's just gonna be, I think it's gonna cause a lot of issues for the neighborhood. So keep it the way it is, please.
Thank you. Michelle Barnes or Barnick. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, I'm Michelle Barnes. I live in Winters Run. I've been a teacher for 21 years, 7 in the West Ada School District. In the time I've been teaching in West Ada, my class sizes have steadily increased year after year, and I prefer to talk to 6-year-olds. I started with 16 to 17 students in my kindergarten class, and now my classes range between 22 to 24 each year. I know that you may not know anything about teaching little people, but under 20 is the sweet spot. 24 students who are 6 and 7 doesn't sound crazy, but when you look at my classroom, and I have special needs students, multi-language, 5 to 6 students on behavior plans, meeting the needs of kids can get difficult. With budget cuts this school year, we're expecting larger class sizes. We have to work within budget constraints, and I say all of this not to complain, but why should we be dealing with larger class sizes when it can be helped? Planning and zoning has already approved Murillo Farms, which will include over 3,000 homes. That whole area is zoned for Lake Hazel Elementary with another elementary school planned for the community. The problem with this is that the elementary will be overflowing, just like what happened with Hillsdale. The planned community overflowed the school. Portables were added the first year, which caused a rezone, leading to overflowing of Mary Mack. Lake Hazel Elementary has a planned expansion that won't be done for 2 years, and when it's complete, West Ada will be rezoning again to accommodate that expansion. Let's look at Lake Hazel Middle School, which is the second largest enrollment in West Ada. Victory Middle School is the first. These are both South Side schools. And don't get me started on the one high school on the south side where our son goes, Mountain View. Mountain View's enrollment is 2,804. Next highest is Owyhee. No middle school and no high school are on the horizon for the south side. The last school district I was in, Planning and Zoning approved more homes in the community, had infrastructure for it, and it got to the point where we had K-3 combo classes. It was horrible for the kids and teachers. I don't want to see that happen. I know when you're looking at a plan for our community and you see 50 townhomes, that doesn't look like much. But being that Murillo Farms has already approved over 1,500 townhomes and apartments, why do we need that on our little corner? Those townhomes could be up to 100 or more kids in our schools. We need the commercial so the kids and families that already live there have goods and services more than we need more housing. Coming from a teacher who's home all summer, I can tell you our side of town is overcrowded. Our kids are always on the corner of Lake Hazel and 5 Mile using all of those businesses. McDonald's, Albertsons, Three Woods, and Reed's are always packed with kids since it's the only place that they can bike to. The 18 homes in JO's original plan would not overcrowd our schools, and the commercial would really benefit not only Renters Run, but our surrounding community. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave for Barnes?
Hi guys, I'm Peyton Barnes. I live on South Arctic Way. I'm 18. I graduated from Mountain View last spring, and I'm currently a major of business at Boise State University. Growing up in Winters Run, I had a very safe, connected environment that I think all of our families value. I think that the dynamic of our neighborhood right now would drastically change if we added townhomes, and not in a good way. Let's look across the street at Charters Point. They have townhomes and apartments, and their playground was burnt to the ground. I don't think any of us want to see Winters Run do the same thing. If we want to talk about high-density housing for my age group and like retirees, I don't think that's really the target demographic. My age group is looking for short commutes and people their age. They don't want to live in a community 25 minutes from anything. I think that these townhomes are not going to go to the demographic that you guys are even saying they're going to go to, nor should they. We should have more families who are going to utilize this community for what it is, a community. Look at the people behind me. We're all showing up for each other because we're a community, and that's what we want more of. I think that more commercial would be a great opportunity for kids 11 and up to enjoy having commercial spaces in walkable distance, which is really what we need. I respectfully urge you to deny this proposal and support keeping Winters Run the safe and neighborly environment it's always been. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Rachel Lamar?
Can my husband speak in my stead?
Sure. Adam Lamar?
Hello, my name is Adam Lamar. I do not live in the Winters Run subdivision. I live in the South Hills subdivision, which is at Cole and Lake Hazel. And the reason that I'd like to speak is because I've had some similar, or seeing some similar issues as to things that we dealt in our neighborhood. Specifically, if you look at the traffic pattern on that southwesterly road from the north part of Lake Hazel, the north part of Maple Grove down to Lake Hazel. We had a similar issue when the Cole and Lake Hazel's subdivision was closed, and they worked on that subdivision that intersection for about 9 months in around 2016, 2017, 2018. And at that time, we had about 780 cars per hour going by our house. And so, as you can imagine, whenever you create a cut through from a major intersection across two major roads like that, if there's any kind of issue with the intersection and it gets closed, then that becomes a problem. And that also impacts the people who own those houses along that area. And so I'd just like to say that when we had a similar subdivision, which is the Basseri subdivision north of Lake Hazel, when that was created, we had a similar issue with another outlet going out to Lake Hazel. And the ACHD did recommend that because of that cut-through issue, that we did not create that pathway that would allow cars to go through there and disrupt, the existing neighborhood dynamics. That was all that I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Bose?
Good evening. I'm Robert Bose. I live at 5935 South Arctic Way in Boise as part of the Winners Run subdivision. In addition to the other concerns that have been raised, I would just like to point out a couple of things. In the next couple of years, on our side of town, we've got several developments in the works. We have Locale that was mentioned, which is going to bring in 2,000 housing units. We have the Valor subdivision, which is bringing in several thousand housing units. We have Murillo Farms, which was mentioned previously, again, bringing in 3,500 units. We have Spring Rock, which is going to bring in 2,300 housing units. And we have Century Farms, which is going to be 700 housing units. And I could go on, but I think that kind of makes the point. All of these developments have dense options as a component of their developments. And given all of this available housing in the area, it does not make sense to pack density into such a small community such as Winners Run. There's plenty of other dense development all over the side of the valley. And putting dense townhomes into an established community like Winners Run is just a bad fit for the neighborhood. Another point I would like to make is the developer tells us that this change in plans for this plot is driven by the roundabout that was put in on Lake Hazel. I'm skeptical of that statement because this roundabout has been on ACHD's plans on their long-term development for this area for 20 years. It's not something that just came out of nowhere. ACHD has had this roundabout in the works for quite a long time. Probably even before the first home was built in Winners Run, this was planned to be a roundabout here. So to say that they had to reconfigure this plot of land because of the roundabout, suffice it to say, I remain skeptical of that. Again, with the sewer permits, this developer has had sewer permits expire multiple times with no action being taken to develop the plot. And now we're saying that the sewer is what is driving this reconfiguration. Again, I don't buy that because the permits have been expired multiple times with no action being taken. If this was a good fit for our neighborhood, there wouldn't be 1,500 pages of comments opposed to it. If it was a good fit for our neighborhood, we wouldn't have neighbors selling their homes and moving away just on the chance that this might get approved. The neighbor across the street from me, an individual by the name of Rocky, when this was proposed, he put his house up for sale and moved out and said, I'm not taking the chance that this might be approved. If this was a good fit for the neighborhood, all of these people wouldn't be here tonight commenting on this proposal. All we're asking is that this subdivision be completed as it was designed and as we were all promised. And I would respectfully ask that you deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Terry?
My name is Stephen Terry, live in 5968 South Sea Breeze Way. One thing is I don't understand how City of Boise can control the development in Ada County when Ada County citizens can't vote for things in City of Boise. So I don't understand that part of it. Also with ADH, Ada County Highway District, seems like they are kind of not good planning. One example of that is the road just west in that view is actually Seabreeze Way, and the road south of Lake Hazel is Seabreeze Way, so they don't line up. And you're going to add another street that is in line with Seabreeze, and so it's going to cause a lot more confusion of traffic flow of directions when the road connecting to the south Seabreeze on south of Lake Hazel is not the same road north of it. It's actually to the west of it. I'm opposed of the rezoning. I'm say keep it the same. We don't need more high-density housing in Ada County. We need almost every development now is becoming high-density. And we need still those homes like the R6 for people that still want that more land, bigger home that the R6 will provide. Also, one thing that was not called out in the previous hearing that we had here, the Ada County Sheriff Department said that with a increase of density of these houses, that they're going to have to look at increasing their head count to cover it. And so with the rezone of it, it will also increase the head count of the need for the Ada County Sheriff. And because that's kind of all I have. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Molly Incy.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Molly Ince, and I live at 7614 South Sundance Drive in the South Cole neighborhoods on Maple Grove Road. I have lived there for 3 years, and I love my house and I love my neighborhood. The only fault to my neighborhood is the lack of access to anything commercial or parks. For example, Mergotio Park has been promised since the 1980s, and the only thing has been built is residential. It's a dead zone of commercial, parks, and open space in the southwest Boise area. I look forward to the commercial being built in the area because it'll be a walkable distance from my house. I think having commercial being within that walkable distance will greatly reduce traffic because people no longer have to drive onto the road. In general, I have to drive if I want to get anywhere. There isn't even a park nearby me. Additionally, my son attends Gem Prep Meridian South on Lake Hazel Road. So Monday through Friday, I have to take the Maple Grove roundabout to get my son to school. The traffic there, if I don't get up early enough, I could potentially get my son to school late. And I don't see Idaho moving towards public transportation or widening the roads anytime soon. So I think higher density housing will increase traffic as they're trying to come out of the Winters Run neighborhood. I propose either sticking to the plan since more commercial would greatly improve not just Winters Run, but the surrounding neighborhoods who have nowhere to go without driving. If no additional commercial, then R6 to reduce additional traffic, whereas detached smaller housing does come with parking issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Stoddard. Jennifer Stoddard.
Hello, I've lived in this neighborhood for about 21 years, so quite a long time. So what I've seen is the increase in traffic and density is the very last thing that we need to be able to create a sense of community and where the people in the community can connect and actually have access to goods and services and things other than just more and more housing stacked on top of each other. So, that's my passion, is creating community. And this is the last thing that we need. So I ask that the application for rezoning be denied, and more commercial is actually what we actually need in the neighborhood. So,
Thank you. William Freeman.
I have nothing to add to what you've already heard. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Scott Gagner.
Scott Signer, live in Winters Run subdivision. Same thing as that everybody's, that I don't even know what else to really add, except for this was one chance. The last frontier at this section at Maple Grove and Lake Hazel, this is it. And we look all around and everything, all the properties around us. It's our last chance to actually get something commercial, to stay with what was originally signed for. And we keep that the way it is, and let's move forward. Because if we let something like this go and be like, well, then what's going to be the next thing? It'll be like, well, you know. So I ask that we continue to stay with what was originally signed for at the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. Alessandra Morton. Is Alessandra Morton here? Carolyn, Har? Is there a Carolyn here? No. Rich Stover?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Rich Stover, 9696 West Sageberry Drive. When my family and I, born and raised in Boise, we were living on Victory and 5 Mile within Boise city limits, so we were shopping around for somewhere that was not in Boise city limits. I think that's important to remember. Winters Rub subdivision is not in Boise city limits, it is in Ada County. So when we came across this, found the lot, contacted the builder, and in 2020, we built our house. We were told by the builder, Mr. J.O., that the unfinished phases were going to be like homes, medium-density property, and there was going to be some commercial on the corner there. And as I look at this slide, I hate to point out the obvious, but when I see the homes that are coming in here, I see one thing, and that is a concern for profit. And so did a little digging, and you're probably tracking a couple of years ago, Idaho legislation, they passed Idaho Code 676511, which states governing boards must establish zoning districts that are consistent with the comprehensive plan. This is not comprehensive with what's already currently approved. Set uniform building and land use standards within each district. These buildings are not like the buildings that are already there, the single house dwellings. And also, evaluate amendment requests, especially those affecting public services, and consider community input before approval. This proposal not only adds congestion, it puts an additional strain on all public services to an already overcrowded part of Ada County, while adding no additional resources. And this plan does not have the approval of the community. Something as we saw the brief there, a comment that was brought before the Planning and Zoning Commission was a comment from the Ada County Sheriff's Department. And it was an email that was brought up, and they had mentioned that, yes, this plan will increase crime, and it will increase, and they have no additional resources for that additional crime. Additionally, this didn't offer any green space. It's kind of surprising that it took the last the last commission's recommendation for denial to actually see some green space. We've been coming to these meetings for years now, and those meetings really felt like more of a mandatory check in the block because all of our all of our concerns were not addressed. And so it was refreshing to finally see something change there. Also, the narrow streets and the dead-end streets, they're going to offer, like many have said, limiting parking, and that parking is going to just overflood the surrounding neighborhood. The other big impact on this is the housing types, because they're not consistent with the rest of the community, they're going to lower the home values of the entire neighborhood. And so with that, I ask you that you, let me state it. So the Planning and Zoning Commission, they reviewed this proposal, they did their part, they assessed all the impacts, and they recommended that you deny this. And I'm going to ask that you save our community and you support that recommendation and deny this proposal. Because I think it's important that if the developers and builders want to change the plan that they sold us, which was the plan R6 and C2, then they need to work with the community, come up with a plan that supports our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. David Woodward.
Good evening, Commissioners. David Woodward, Sageberry Drive in Winters Run. I just want to echo what many of my other fellow residents have said. I too would like to see you reject the proposal that's before you and to have the developer continue with the R6 C2 zoning. It was the bill of goods that we were all sold and we all bought into, and it seems like a real a poor move to yank that out from under the people who have bought in and invested in the entire community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Brian Wilson-Hulme.
No comments. Thank you.
MacArthur Mather.
Michaela Madden.
Huh?
Michaela Madden?
Oh.
It might be me. I have really bad handwriting.
Okay, Michaela Mather.
It sounds like me.
Hi, thank you. Michaela Madden, and I have grown up and lived in the area since I was a little girl. We have many friends in the area, and I hold this place very dearly to my heart. As many have said already, I also echo the concerns with infrastructure before approving any sort of high density in this area. I can appreciate the city's efforts in trying to find a creative way to blend in the neighborhood with the commercial lots, especially given the slope of the lot and the shape of the lot. I'm a business owner, and I've had to build and get the city's approval, so I understand that there can be, you just have to get creative with some things to meet their requirements. And hopefully no one in here hurts me for this, but I also am not going to blindly say that it should all be commercial, because I know I would hate having a commercial building right behind my house. So I feel like the larger lots that they have here, I think, is a really great way to blend that in. But I echo what everyone here says, and that is that I believe it should be R6 and commercial. And I think a big thing for me is looking at those townhomes. Like others have said, empty nesters aren't going to live there. It's going to be single families, it's going to be single individuals. I myself have friends, they cram like 4 to 5 people into an apartment because that's what they can afford, and they all have individual cars, and I don't see adequate parking there for townhomes. I would really love to see in this, if the city can, or if they can plan it out, just turning that townhome area into more of a communal green space. Expand the pollinator garden, instead of one tiny bench, make it like a big area where like the employees and people who will frequent the businesses can all just sit and enjoy, lunches and meetings and all that kind of stuff. And then I also had a concern with the commercial. I would just like to know if they're planning on widening Lake Hazel and if that commercial plan takes that into account. Because when I look at the map right now, I don't really see how Lake Hazel would be widened, given like where they're putting everything. So all that to say, I believe you should keep it R6 and commercial as promised. And if they're looking for some specific stuff, I really think that it would be beneficial to remove the townhomes and replace it with more communal green space, and maybe even additional parking if that's necessary. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rick Munns. Is there a Rick Munns there? Mary Murphy. Lynn Gardner. Chris Gannon. Or Garner. Jane Edgington.
No comment.
Steve Johnson.
Thank you, commissioners, for letting us talk. I've lived in Boise all my life. I've lived at Northview and Curtis when that was the country. And so I've been in here all my life. I'm at 9552 West Sageberry Drive in Winters Run. The water that we have to do the irrigation, we have that. It's not very big as far as that goes. And it does 3 subdivisions. And a lot of times we have problems getting enough water. Now, if we put residential or whatever down there, I don't know how they're ever going to make that work. But what I see of all these other houses being built on Lake Hazel, we need to have all the roads, Lake Hazel, Cole, Maple Grove, 5 Mile, and Cloverdale, all widened because of how many people. And my opinion, 18 houses, our pool is no bigger from that wall to that beam right there. It's not big at all. And having 10 people in there, it's pretty crowded. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. We do need more businesses there. So that's what I have to say. Thank you for letting me talk. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Patricia Eisenbarth.
I echo what everybody else has said, so I don't even need to bother.
Okay, thank you. Kevin Tag. Good evening, Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ty. I've been in Winters Run since 2019. I agree with everybody, what people are saying. I think the original plan would be a lot better. The plans have changed a lot since I've been hearing about this for the past 2 or 3 years. I definitely feel like we're not being heard by the developer. I think JO, also known as the HOA, that has never had a meeting for us, but will increase the rates, and also hasn't kept up with the amenities, as people have been saying. I don't believe that they'll keep up with the amenities in this new one either. And unlike a lot of people, I'm getting out in 2 weeks. I'm moving to Cuna. I'll be right near where there's a whole bunch of new stores that have been put in along Meridian Road. I could deal with the traffic on Meridian Road if it gets me to stores quicker than the current traffic patterns here. So I would like to see at least the original plan. Somebody mentioned or asked if there was stores 1 layer deeper, would people go? If you build it, they'll come. It's just another 20 feet, 40 feet to drive. We would even walk there. At one point, there was talk of a possible storage facility. Doesn't create a lot of additional traffic for a storage facility, but it's definitely something that the community would have used. And if you have things like a vet or certain other businesses, probably closed on Sundays, so that won't cause more traffic. So it really depends on what gets in there. I'm from New York. I would love to see a pizza place, good Chinese restaurant, a bagel place, a neighborhood bar, and a dry cleaner. And we got none of them in the neighborhood. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lori Johnson?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Lori Johnson. I live about a mile down the road in Hazelwood Village. However, the traffic that they're talking about affects me a mile away as well. And I am opposed to your project. I do feel the residences should be given what they were promised when they moved in. And I could see a helpful solution if we put commercial along there, put a good wide bike walking path a mile in each direction, and most people would ride a bike or walk there, and it would take cars off the road. So I oppose the project, and that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Nettles?
He's going to pull up, Brent's going to pull up a slideshow here. My name's Nick Nettles. I live at 9352 West Avalanche in Winters Run. I grew up in Southwest Boise all my life. My wife did as well. We have two children. We both attended Boise State. And we chose to live in Winters Run for a reason. We chose that neighborhood because of the community feel that it has, the R6 zoning, and the commercial component that is a part of the land that is currently zoned. We are asking for it to remain as such. If you would, Brent, go to the next slide. So I'm asking you to deny the rezone for a few reasons. This is the email from Sheriff Justin Wright, which is funny because when I was a kid and I worked at the pizza place at Cole and Amity, he was a kid and he used to come in and patronize us. This is an email he sent regarding this project, that the high-density housing will increase call volume, and it also says increase in staffing and roadway planning expansion would help. There was no discussion of either of those by the developer. If you would go to the next slide, please. So when we talk about crime, okay, we're talking about we're talking about public health, safety, and welfare. If you look at the hot zone right there on Brogan Drive, that is a crime map from 2022 to present. If you compare that crime to directly across Lake Hazel, it is night and day difference. So when I talk about increased crime and I talk about public health, safety, and welfare, that is what I'm referring to. Introducing high-density housing into this neighborhood and taking away commercial zoning will directly, crime is attributable to that. I can't understand what else it would be. That's high-density housing. They're looking for high-density housing right across the road. If you would go next slide, please. This is April 1st at 5:39 p.m. I didn't have a video because I didn't want to take all my time. This is traffic leaving Albertsons at 5 Mile and Lake Hazel at 5:39 heading east. This traffic is headed west. It is backed up from the Albertsons to the roundabout. Again, no roadway improvements mentioned by the developer, and ACHD has no plan to widen Lake Hazel until they're going to start the design. So just the design in 2031. So that is 5 years away before they design. Then they have to get approval, buy-in, utilities have to move, and then they have to obtain right-of-way. So we're probably looking at like 2035 before this roadway is widened. Next slide, please. This was taken today. So I have two young boys who play outside a lot. They play with the neighbor kids. They play outside all the time. We love it. And if they ride their bikes around, my kids are fantastic bike riders. That is R6 zoning today at about 11:15. At 11:25, that is high-density street parking. That is unsafe for children. That also is about a one-lane road when two cars are trying to drive past each other. If you would allow me to just finish. I've really spent a lot of time on this case. Next slide, please.
You can wrap it up.
Okay, the developer says that third-tier commercial will not work. If you look at Hazel, the Lockwood lot right here on 5 Mile, which is a dead-end road, that's third tier in the highlighted green. They are developing that as commercial. Our developer says that this third tier right here won't work. And we're talking about Maple Grove and Lake Hazel, two very busy roads. Last slide, I believe. Please deny the rezone. Over 1,000 people have signed their pen to paper to deny this. Also, this is a bait and switch. JO's had this plan all along. The first time that Brecken marched us into a neighborhood meeting, it was 230 apartments and there was no ACHD roadway realignment. This has been the plan all along. This has been the plan. Wait until the last home is sold and then bam, we're looking to rezone your property to high density housing. That is the God's honest truth. The first neighborhood meeting was 230 apartments. No mention of having to adjust roadways or anything like that. This has been the plan all along. So please, keep our community a community. Keep the residential zone R6. Keep the C2. Businesses are desperately needed out in the area. Our kids should have a place to go visit and perhaps get a job without having to drive across town. So I appreciate your time and attention to this application. Please deny it.
Thank you. Chad Ellis.
I don't have a lot to say. I'll echo most of what I've heard. I'm a all my life resident of Boise, fourth generation Boisean. I've been in Winters Run since 2013. My wife, me, and my 4 kids. Just like everybody else, Mr. J.O. sold us the homes, telling us that it would be R6 and some commercial at the bottom. I'm for that. I also wanted to just mention that, so higher density homes, you do have to have those in your community. But right across Lake Hazel, that's already there. We already have it. You gentlemen are probably familiar with the community that's right across the street, and I'm going to get nervous and forget names of communities and such. But they have higher density there. The apartments are there right across the street. So it's not that we don't have it, it's already in the area. Businesses would be great. My youngest is 15. We've lived there for 13 years. He's, grown up in that house. We'd hate to move. We may if it goes to higher density. He'd love to have a job down on the corner. That would be awesome now that he's out of school. I request that you deny their application to change. Respectfully, appreciate you gentlemen and the work that you do for all of us.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the people that signed up. No, there was a couple of names I called that didn't, is there anyone that signed up that didn't get to speak? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak that hasn't had a chance? Okay. Okay, come on up then, give us your name and address.
I actually did sign up, but I thought it was an attendance list, so I crossed my name out when I realized it was a speaking thing. My name is Maya Kelly. I'm at 9118 West Stirrup Drive in Winters Run. Rather than echo everything you've heard before, I just wanted to address a couple things that might have been questions to fellow residents. We know that there's no scenario in which that stays dirt. So anything that happens is going to increase traffic, right? So none of us are naive enough to think that's not going to happen. However, I would suggest that commercial is going to change traffic in a more probably consistent manner than another huge bunch of people going to work at the same time and coming back from work at the same time. So hopefully, commercial, while it will still impact traffic, will not have quite the same impact, and I think we should be strategic about that. To say the need to change the path of the road is why there needs to be a rezone to higher density is disingenuous. Commercial not being successful is not our problem. The people are there. The density is there. to support businesses. Now, if someone chooses to open up a business that turns belly button lint into yarn, and it fails, that's not our problem. So I think commercial can be very successful there. We're all desperate for it. The pool stats are very suspicious. I haven't used the pool in the 6 years I've lived there because every time I go by, it is either full of people or it is full of duck poop. So, and right now I can't get in because they changed our key card system to a fob system, and in order to swap out my key card for a fob, I have to make an appointment to go up to somewhere near Chinden during business hours to hand them my card and get a fob in exchange. So now I can't get even into the pool even if I wanted to until I take care of that. So in conclusion, I just want to support my neighbors who did buy under the impression that what was going up behind them would be similar housing in addition to commercial. I think they've been given a bait and switch, and I feel for them. And as such, I respectfully ask that you deny this request for rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that wishes to speak that hasn't had a chance to? Go ahead, come on up.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Suzanne Knorr. I reside on Highlander Road, just north and west of this location. And I'm on a well system. There are residential wells north of this location, west of it, south of it, east of it. All of those well systems are being impacted by the amount of development that is happening. And we have a receding water table. I mean, it's just a fact. There is already quite a bit of density in this area, all of which has already been approved and is in the works and is going to be built. If Ada County wants to be part of the solution to the groundwater problem that we have, adding density is not part of it. But this area is also completely starved of commercial establishments. It has inadequate infrastructure, inadequate roadways, inadequate emergency response for where we are and the population that we now have, which is getting more crowded by the day. For those reasons, I would respectfully request that you deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you. It's your turn.
Well, my name's Rich Meyer. I live at 5951 South Allude Avenue in Winters Run. And I don't want to say what's already been said, but I have a couple questions and a couple comments to make. The first is, Doug Jao is the president of our HOA. So he's the president of our community. He's the president of our association and should represent us. Why isn't he here representing us? If he's part of our community and he's developing our community, why isn't he here? And the second thing that I'd ask, his plan can do only one of three things. It can improve our community, it can keep it the same, or it can degrade our community. His original plan was an extension of our community, so I believe it'd make it at least equal and possibly better with the commercial. But the plan as proposed can only degrade our community because it can't meet the other two conditions. It can't be equal, and it can't improve it because a whole different concept and the value of the properties is less than what we have right now. And so I would ask, why isn't he here? He should be here. He's supposed to represent us. And why isn't he here telling us why it's going to improve our community? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anybody else? Oh, yeah, we got another, come on up. Give us your name and address.
Good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Betty Berman Solo. I live at 1970 South Cannon Arrow Way in Boise. I'm a board member of the Southwest Ada County Alliance, which has boundaries that encompass this area. I'm one of several board members, and David Palumbo has asked me to read this letter to, because he was unable to be here tonight. So he said, please share with county commissioners that it is very, very important that any future development of Southwest Ada County include a maximum amount of commercial retail opportunities to serve the people who currently live in the area. The subject area does not have adequate commercial retail services to meet the present and future needs of the area's residents. Additionally, the commissioners have to understand there's a consistent half to 3/4 mile backup behind stop signs currently and stoplights during commute times. Approving this project will obviously not improve that situation. Infrastructure first, then development, please. Thank you, and I can extend that I believe wholeheartedly that asking the commissioners to deny a rezone here is the proper thing to do because of the testimony you've heard tonight. It's overwhelmingly clear that these folks were promised commercial and is slipping away, and that is in your hands. I think one thing that I'd like to add, having been with this area for a long time, every time you put in commercial, there's one obvious increase that happens, and that's you have additional jobs. You have additional jobs for people that currently live there. And so with that in mind, whatever traffic, there is density there that still needs people to live there, but that's the big asset that more commercial provides. And that's a job, a place to work. And it takes them off from getting into the car and competing with what's going on right now. I urge you to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else? Oh, we do have some more. Come on up. Give us your name and address for the record.
It's Cody Smith, 6094 South Snowshoe Avenue. I'm right next door in Cedar Edge, and Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
It's nice to come to you on a personal level for once, and appreciate you all taking your time to hear from us. So we moved into the community in 2019. We did a research before moving into the community. We knew that there was the future commercial development to the east of us, and to the west, we looked at the future Pearl Jensen Park development. Smack dab right in the middle, we said that's a perfect spot. So we really took that into consideration when we moved into our community. I have 3 kids. We have 3 boys right across the street from us as well. Whenever we have friends over, one of the most proud things I can think of that people say is they say, this feels like a 90s neighborhood. Our neighbors, our friends, our kids run around the place, enjoy the park. We don't go into the pool, so we're not breaking into that. So, but my kids love to run around, ride their bikes around the community, and I worry that the addition of high-density housing would change that perspective and change the community, and I don't want to see that happen. So I think there was a great plan originally. I say let's welcome 18 new families into our community and create a great commercial hub for this location that's very, very needed. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any more? Hearing none. One, going once. Going twice, okay. That concludes our public testimony. Now we'll give the applicant a little bit of time to provide a rebuttal if you'd like. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Heath Clark, 251 East Front Street in Boise. Sometimes it's a lonely job. Let me give you a couple thoughts here to kind of wrap this up. So I think a couple of primary points. One, I just do want to emphasize that after talking to a couple of the neighbors who are here, we did make that change to remove the attached product from the plan. So when folks say townhomes, attached product, we took that out. Now, that was done at the neighbor's request. I just want to emphasize though, I'm a kid that grew up in a grocery store in a little tiny town. I put myself through law school. When I got back to Idaho, because I grew up in Idaho, I lived in an apartment, I lived in a townhome, I lived in a rental place, now I live in a very nice house. We need all of those things, and just the fact that it is a townhome or it is a rental doesn't mean crime, it doesn't mean, there's something bad about that neighborhood. It means that there's a different housing opportunity that we need in our communities. But again, we did take that out at the neighbor's request. We're not doing rentals. The commitment, to follow up with the conversation with Commissioner Beck, the plan is only to sell to owners, not investors. And then we will, in addition, include the restrictions on rentals as we go. The irrigation system has been studied. It has capacity. We are going to be doing the required upgrades associated with that to make sure that everything continues to function. So maybe two more things, and then I'll end. One of the things that this project does is it provides what's called a mid-mile collector. And a mid-mile collector is something that ACHD and all traffic planners really want, because what a mid-mile collector does is it takes traffic off of the major arterials and allows folks to get around and stay off of those roads. And when we put in the mid-mile collectors, what ends up happening is that the existing homeowners tend to disperse across the new project rather than the other way around. It's important to get that mid-mile collector in, and that mid-mile collector is in the location where it has to be. It's in that location because of the topography, the spacing, the radius requirements, and because it has to align with Seabreeze on the south. And I don't know why they didn't fix that naming convention. We had the same thought as the gentleman mentioned before. It probably should have been fixed at some point, but that's not something we get to control. But that collector is where it needs to be. That collector will actually help to take traffic off of the arterial roadways. This area is not actually reacting to growth. The fact that we've got that roundabout in before this is coming in is actually a good thing for the area. There are plans to continue the improvements to the roadways. Idaho is not a place where we have unlimited funds for public infrastructure. As the commissioners know, our state legislature controls that in ways that don't really help the local jurisdictions very much. We need development impact fees. We need these kind of participation projects with the developers to actually fund a lot of this, but these projects are in the pipeline. As Mr. Nettles said, the Lake Hazel expansion project is in the pipeline. If you look at the dimensions at the south of our collector roadway, you'll see that it bumps up like this. The reason for that is that we were required to dedicate additional right-of-way so that ACHD could have a roundabout there when the traffic merits it, because they're planning for that future development. The other thing that we're doing along those frontages is 50 feet of frontage dedication. And within all of that, we would then do our landscape improvements and a 10-foot pathway to allow people to access the site as pedestrians, just as one of the members of the audience asked for. We're doing that on both of the frontages. So the infrastructure, ACHD has studied this. They found that all the roads are within the level of service, and they have a plan to address the capacity as time goes by. So with regard to commercial, deeper commercial doesn't mean better commercial. Just throwing that commercial on the backside doesn't mean it's going to be more successful. Commercial needs rooftops. As you probably know, every site, person who cites a commercial project, what do they look at? They look at two things. They look at what is the density within a radius around the site, and they look at how many trips are on the roadway in front of them. So what that means is that commercial follows rooftops. And there has to be density in order to allow for commercial to be successful. That's why on most projects that you look at, when you have commercial, you have a transition. You have less dense, more dense, commercial. That's the typical planning pattern. That's exactly what we're trying to do here to help support that commercial. But it's not like we're giving all the commercial away. If you look at the actual ground and compare it, there's 7.38 acres of commercial that's being preserved here. After you take the roads out and all that, that's doing that calculation. If you do the same thing on the residential side, because it's gridlocked by those roads, it's 4.86 acres of residential. So it's not being sacrificed. It's not slipping away either. This developer is, as I mentioned in my initial comments, is actively working to get commercial users in. And as we mentioned, there's a master site plan that's part of this application for the vet. So the process is underway, and we really look forward to that happening. So I'll just conclude by saying, one, infill, which is what this is hard. Because infill comes with it the baggage of whatever time has gone by with the neighbors. You're not operating in a green field where it's just the first thing out there. You've got to deal with a lot of complaints, a lot of things that might have happened in the past. But in this case, we have made changes to the application that we think improve it. We made the changes along the Winters Run boundary to have the 50-foot lots that are bigger than R8. Again, we removed the attached product, and we think that this is a project that's ready to go at this point. And completion of the project then allows turnover of the HOA. Completion of the project allows the commercial to go forward. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'd have a question for you. It was brought up on several times during the testimony about the lack of attention to the homeowners association and to the pool and the amenities there. Do you have any comments on that?
Commissioner Beck, yeah, we've brought those comments. Mr. Brecken and I have been here at these hearings. We've brought those comments to the attention of the developer. We brought them to the attention of the property manager. They've assured us that they're going to take action to make sure that gets addressed. Beyond that, there's not much that I could say to that, other than I understand the desire to have control over the association. I'm sympathetic to that. This is not any different than a lot of multi-phase projects that you see where the control is handed over once the project's completed, and I'm sure that will make everyone's lives a lot better as well.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brent, are there any documents or presentations needed to be added to the record?
Mr. Chairman, we do have a few items that need to be added into the record. So exhibit number 123 will be my presentation. Exhibit number 124 will be Mr. Clark's presentation. Exhibit number 125 will be Mr. Vidalis's presentation. And exhibit number 126 will be Mr. Nettles' presentation.
Okay, and that concludes the presentations?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Documents that need to be added to the record? Okay, so there's nothing else to be added to the record. I will close the public hearing on application 2025-02138 ZCPDU SPR MSP and application 2021-201115 DA DM Brecken Land. The application being closed and all testimony being taken. Now it's up to the board. Is there any discussion to be held? Okay. Well, what's the pleasure of the board? Because this application is in front of us and we need to take some sort of action on it. What would you suggest? You don't have anything to say? You normally do.
I'll start it off then. I guess this, as has been pointed out, the community has been dealing or facing this issue for a number of years, obviously, as has the developer. There's some conflict between what our staff has said and what the Planning and Zoning Committee said, although they were very close on that. It was a one-vote margin in terms of their consideration as well. And based on that, what was discussed at Planning and Zoning, the developer has made some changes to the design, et cetera. So I guess I'm inclined to support the application, but there may be some other, and again, based on the original commercial development, there's not a whole lot of change in terms of the housing portion that's taken out of commercial from the original, and based on the topography, that's limited, and I agree with the statement that the presenters made in terms of why they chose that arbitrary line on the north boundary at the edge of what appears from the map to be a hill. So based on that, I would be inclined to support it, but I don't know if we want to talk about any other additional changes other than what the developer has already stated that they were making in terms of to address some of the concerns of the community.
Well, we can make any kind of changes that we choose, that we deem most appropriate for the community. Is there any other discussion?
Go ahead, Mr. Chair. I would say I'm more inclined to uphold the P and Z determination, but if we needed additional time to review anything, I'd be open to tabling.
We do have a lot of documents we need to go through. So is there any other discussion or any other, or is there a pending motion?
I would support, there are some documents that would merit review on my part, on my consideration as well, so I would support that. Tabling it to review again, all the documents, because there are some changes from the planning and zoning, like I said, that would merit some review for us to consider.
Well, as I understand, you were contemplating supporting part of the application, but you didn't like all of it. You'd like to make some changes, is what you're suggesting.
Exactly,
So you'd like to maybe dig into that a little more. It would seem to me that a motion to table for a time certain would be appropriate and give this board more time to study the options and the record, because there's 125 pages of record?
Mr. Chairman, there's like, I think 1,814 in the staff report.
1,014
plus
pages, all right, okay.
And how many years?
Okay, so give us a date. Richard?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, come down to how much time you think you would need to review those thousands of pages. We could table to an open business meeting, we could table to another public hearing. What's your preference?
I think it would be an open business meeting, and it would be up to, how much time do we need to review everything? Any ideas?
2 weeks? 3 weeks?
2, 3 weeks? What's that?
3 weeks?
Okay, we have 2, 3 weeks.
We have June 9th as an option, or June 16th?
Okay.
We have budget hearings coming up too, so.
Yeah, we do have a very bad, well, then we have a BOE coming in there too. So I'm thinking maybe the 16th would be an appropriate time. So I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to table consideration of application number 202-502-138 ZC-PUD-S-MSP MSPB and 201-201-115 DA-DM to June 16th, 2026 for additional consideration from the board.
I second the motion.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there further discussion? No. We've got a lot of digging to do and a lot of research to do, but because we can't have this hanging out too awful long, can we? And anyway, you've heard the motion then. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I think
Yes.
we need to point out that the record is closed. We're just
Yes,
reviewing.
yeah, the record's closed, so we're not going to accept any additional information. The record is closed. And so don't, please don't give us any more information. All right. And I want to thank everyone for being here. I think it was, it was a respectful meeting, and we're going to give this a proper consideration, and we appreciate you being here. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.